Okay, so welcome everyone to New Year, new website. First, I just want to thank you for taking time out to be here with us today and to learn and grow. It really means a lot that you're here with us. And so I'm Sarah, I'm the Business Incubation Program Coordinator at Innovate Springfield. And we're pretty much obsessed with supporting small businesses. And right now, that's on the internet, right? Look at us all here online today. So we're going to be talking about with our experts, Brett Jackson from Systemax and Reid from Clearfire Inc., about how you can improve your virtual customer experience and maybe go about auditing your website and improve it. That's what we're going to talk about today. And we've got Casey and Brett here. And like I said, I will be recording this session. So if you want to rewatch it, don't feel overwhelmed about taking the notes and everything. Like, we'll record it and post it to the YouTube channel. And then also after the session, please do complete our evaluation so that we can continue to provide you with the information and the resources that you're looking for and always improve. So with that, that's the end of my introduction. Oh, and your questions, we will answer your questions. So please do chat your questions in as they come to you. And now I'm going to pass the mic to Brett and Casey.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us. I'm Brett Jackson and I'm the owner of Systemax. We are a marketing company here in Springfield. And one of the things that we've always been passionate about is just helping businesses grow and communicate their message more efficiently. And a big part of that is through your website. A lot of us, including myself, right now I'm working from home, and the way that our customers need to interact with us, we need to be there for them and provide for them. So we partner. Specifically, we've been very adamant about who we partner with when it comes to building websites and partnering with the right person. And Reid is that person that we've chosen out of numerous people across the country to partner with to build websites. He is lucky for us. He is a local product. He lives locally, may not be a local product. He's been from all over the world, but he is the person that we choose to partner with when we build websites for customers because of his approach, the background that he has, and just the way that he communicates with people. He is the one that we feel like is the best option for our clients. And so the hope with this talk is really just to share information about websites and then really to field your questions about how do you approach things and where do you go from here? Whether you don't have a website yet, you already have one and we need to audit it and understand where we need to go with it. And then if you're a high level e-commerce company, how do we optimize it and make it work better? So Casey's going to give a presentation about websites and I'm going to turn it over to him, but he's really the expert when it comes to coding and really the nitty gritty details of it. But we're happy to answer any questions when it comes to websites and marketing afterwards. So Casey.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for the intro, Brett and Sarah. Glad to be with everyone. So to kind of preface the presentation, a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about are kind of obviously every website's different. Every business is different, and the purpose of your website is going to be different. You may be selling something digital, you may be selling a physical product, you may be providing a service, you may be doing something philanthropic. And so the purpose of every website is different, and your users have different needs and you have different audiences. So a lot of the things we're going to go over today are going to be a little bit more general in terms of tips and tricks that you kind of need to make sure you're doing just at a foundational level to make sure your website performs well, does well in search engine results, provides a good experience for your users. Some of it it's not too technical, but there are some technical aspects. And then certainly there are just kind of some basic foundational things that you'll want to consider, whether you're creating a new site or you already have one. The foundation of this and some of these quick wins that we'll talk about are providing a good experience for your users when they come to your site, making sure that they can find what they need quickly, make sure they can understand your business or what you're selling or offering, and making sure that there's as little friction as possible as they navigate around your site and find what they're looking for. So I'll share my screen here in a sec. I'll go through some examples. As Brett mentioned at the end, we'll do a Q&A. And so as I'm talking, if you have some things you wanted us to kind of revisit or dive into a little bit more, just take note and we'll go back through those at the end. So yeah, so let me share my screen and we'll get started. All right, so new year, new website, as Sarah mentioned, is kind of the theme of our presentation. And so I'll start with just a brief introduction. And so as Brett mentioned, I live in Springfield. I'm not originally from here. I actually grew up in Las Vegas and grew up on the West Coast, but went to Illinois State in college and found my way to Springfield after that, where my wife is from. Married with 3 kids, and we do, again, live here in the Springfield community. Clearfire is the name of the company. I founded that in 2007 after working for some other technology companies, and we have about a team of 10. We're headquartered here in Springfield, but we are a distributed remote team. So a lot of our team is spread throughout the US. The nature of our work, it's online. The nature of our clients, they're not always necessarily local. And so, our team has gotten really good at working remotely and working efficiently that way. It was interesting as we kind of headed into COVID and some of the pandemic related things, and now kind of we're all online, but really it really wasn't much change for us. But I feel like we've kind of been working that way for quite a while. We specifically do web design, web development, web applications, mobile apps, and kind of consulting and strategy along those lines. We have our own direct clients, and then we also work with Systemax and a marketing agency like them, where they're doing some of the other aspects of your online digital needs: marketing, advertising, social media management, pay-per-click, search engine optimization, and other things along those lines. So we tend to focus more on design and development and some consulting as well. Our clients are diverse in terms of technology and industry. So spans, small local business all the way up to tech, finance, fashion, healthcare, and professional services, software companies, things like that. So that will be that. All right, so let's dive into some quick wins. And so really, when we think about a website, there's a number of things that happen when you go there that are both behind the scenes and kind of front and center that you experience as a user. And some of the things we'll go through, they're things we experience as we just navigate around the internet. And oftentimes they're our own and most people's habits and ways that they interact with a website. And so what we want to do is make sure that some of the really basic things are taken care of and friction is reduced for people that are going to your site. So these are kind of lots of small, easy opportunities to improve your existing site, or if you don't have one, as you're building one, that these are things you consider. So the first one is just performance. So overall, the speed of your website plays a couple critical roles. One is search engines like Google actually rank you, or part of their ranking algorithm is based on how fast your site is and how quick it loads. And that ties into just overall user experience for people that come to your site and want to see what you have to offer. Our attention spans are short. We make quick decisions. And really, you have a second or fractions of a second to capture someone's attention. So if you go to a site, it's slow to load, they're just going to hit the back button and go to the next site, especially if they found you in search results. So your performance in terms of how fast your site loads is very important, not only for the user's experience, but also just for SEO value in general. There's a couple tools you can use that are free tools that let you just basically run your website through and to get a performance audit. One is Google PageSpeed Insights. So you just search for Google PageSpeed Insights. It'll provide you with a page like this. You put in your URL, hit analyze, and it will give you a report basically indicating where you have performance issues and what your score is in terms of how Google sees it. Now, some of the results are technical. You may need a developer or someone more technically minded to understand them. As an example, here's our Clearfire website. And so we have a good score of 90, which I'm proud of. Really anything 80 or above is something what you'd want to aim for. If you're, less than that, especially if you're, down in the teens or 20s, then that's where you start to potentially see impact in search rankings and user experience and the way someone is using your site. But this report gives you, again, kind of some basic high-level details. How long does it take for your page to load? How long does it take for it to be something someone can interact with, and things along those lines. And then as you get down a little bit further, you get into some of the more technical details about how you can actually fix those problems. And so it may be optimizing your images, making sure they're properly sized. It may be making sure you're declaring specifically certain aspects of code on your page. And so this audit tends to be technical, but the nice thing is it's free, and at a very basic level, it just kind of gives you your score. If your score is ranked pretty well, then you don't really need to do much. If you get a really low score, then that's where you may consider optimizing your site or changes to your site that can have an impact. There's a couple, along those lines, there's a couple key things that can contribute to a low score. One is just images. A lot of times when you are working on a website, let's say you're managing the site, or you're working in a content management system and you're loading images to the site. Oftentimes what people do is they just take it straight out of the camera or straight out of the image that was sent to them, and they load that to their site. Well, the original source image out of a camera, especially cameras today, even out of your iPhone, is going to be larger in file size than it really needs to be in terms of for it to look good on the internet. And so reducing your image file size is a good way to potentially lower your score if you have some poor performance, makes your page load faster, and gets that experience up. The other thing is your images come in different formats. JPEG file format tends to be more performant and more optimized. And so reducing the image file size and using JPEG image format where possible will kind of bring the file size down and your score up for page speed. The other thing is, depending on your site, you may have additional scripts running in the background that can also lead to poor performance. Website builders like Wix and Squarespace sometimes are bad at, and it's unfortunately something you don't necessarily have control over, but they kind of inject other scripts onto the page and behind the scenes that help with their service or their own marketing or their own tracking of data. And so oftentimes, if you're able to build your own site or develop your own site or work with someone that can, you can kind of remove some of those things and those bottlenecks and those performance issues. And so when I mean scripts, it can be things like you want to track like Facebook's Pixel, for example, which helps with advertising, or analytics is another one, or social media scripts that you're told to add to your site for tracking purposes or advertising purposes. There's nothing wrong with adding those, but you want to make sure they're added the right way, and they're added in a way that is not going to reduce your performance score and ultimately potentially reduce search rankings or just user experience in general. So be mindful of the things that you're kind of putting on your site in terms of scripts, and certainly with images, try to keep those at a lower file size, and that will in general help, and are kind of some quick ways you can improve your performance. The other thing I'll note is Google Analytics, and I'll talk about this a little bit more further, but Google Analytics is a free product from Google that you can add to your site that provides analytics data about your website, your visitors, where they come from, what pages they visit. Part of, or one of the reports in Google Analytics is a page speed report that allows you to see additional details about your site and the performance around it. And so if you have Google Analytics, and again, we can maybe talk about this in the Q&A at the end, I can show you kind of where you would maybe look for page speed specific information that will help you identify a little bit further specific pages on the site, or specific areas that you may want to check to make sure the page loads faster. So in general, just be mindful of performance. and you can use free tools from Google and other providers to check your score and then to improve those as you move forward. Brett, also, as I'm talking through, if you have anything to add, feel free to jump in, and we'll make sure your voice is heard.
I just want to point out that just because you build something on your own, or one of our clients paid a outsourced company well over 6 figures last year to build a brand new website for them. It took them well over a year. When we actually ran some of these performance stats on them, they performed extremely low. And so just because you pay somebody a lot of money to build a website, if they don't do it right, if they don't really understand what goes on under the hood and what drives these search engines and the components that go into it, you really have to find the right partner that knows, these things that build into these algorithms to make it work. So it's not as easy as just going to Wix. That is a way to do it, or paying somebody a lot of money. It's really finding the right partner who knows how to make this so that you get, I guess, the best performance out of your website.
Yeah, that's a great point. And maybe at the end, we can talk through kind of just some things, if you're working with an agency or a partner, kind of some basic questions you can ask them, or make sure they're doing as part of your project and as part of what you're paying them. Some of the things we're talking about are pretty common sense for a competent web developer or web design agency. And so regardless of who you're working with, the things we talk about, if anything, like, hey, did you run my website through Google PageSpeed Score? Because I did, and I noticed that I got a 60 on there. Why is that? And along with some of the other things we talk about as well. So yeah, again, be mindful and maybe think of these things as, if you're working with someone, do you have these problems, or making sure you don't have these problems as you move forward. So on to the next one, just making sure your site is secure. And so this is what's called a SSL certificate. And so this is when you're browsing around the internet, oftentimes you see in the browser bar HTTP and HTTPS. And so if I kind of look up here in my browser bar here, you'll see it says HTTPS for this particular website that I'm viewing through Google Docs. But when you go to a site that is not secure, oftentimes you'll see a warning that says not secure in the upper left. If you click on it, it'll tell you it's not secure. And sometimes you'll even get kind of this image down here at the bottom that says your connection is not private. So it like actually doesn't even let you proceed to the website unless you kind of go through and confirm it. Starting in 2018, Google basically started penalizing sites for not being secure, and also started showing these warnings. Other, like, depending on what browser you're using, but Safari, Apple browser, Microsoft browsers, certainly Google Chrome, Firefox, kind of all the main browsers now, they indicate if you're not browsing on a secure site. So if this is your site, then that's a problem, because your visitors are going to it, they're seeing these warnings, and they're losing confidence. And in some cases, they may not actually even be able to see your website. Getting a SSL certificate in place is a inexpensive option. You can get an SSL certificate for as cheap as $10 a year, and in some cases even free. So through your hosting provider or wherever your website is hosted, or whoever's doing your website, you'll want to make sure that an SSL certificate and just security in general is top of mind and something that your website has. Also, too, to expand on that, it's not necessarily enough to just have a security certificate in place. You also want to make sure that the non-secure version of your website automatically redirects to the secure one. So if someone happens to type in www.example.com and it's the non-secure kind of URL, that it automatically redirects to the secure URL, and that's like invisible to the user, that you as a user going to that website, you don't experience that or even notice that, it just happens. So again, security certainly is top of mind. As much as we're doing online transactions, shopping, banking, all those kinds of things, you want to make sure your site isn't showing these warnings or just isn't secure in general. On to the next one. I mentioned analytics earlier, and so Google Analytics is a free tool from Google. You can install that on your website. Whether you even know what you're looking at when you install it or not, it's still going to be helpful for whoever you're working with on your website, or eventually if you're doing any kind of marketing or working with someone that's doing marketing, they're going to want to know kind of what your traffic and analytics data looks like. And so Google provides, it's a free script basically you can insert into your website or have someone do for you. And then it starts to collect data about the people that are using your site, what pages they're visiting, the demographic data, who they are, where they came from. Did they come from a Facebook post? Did they come from another website? What pages are they seeing on your site? How much time are they spending on your site? E-commerce sites, this type of data is super useful because then you can use that information to make meaningful changes that lead to higher conversion rates and more purchases. And so if you don't have analytics on your site already, Google Analytics is one of many, but that's probably the most popular and easiest to install platform that you kind of put it on there, it'll just start collecting data. And then eventually when you need to use it, you have kind of a set of data to work with. So I just wanted to note that because that's another kind of quick thing you can do that that allows you to get some useful information. Google, in addition to that, provides a tool called Google Search Console, which you can connect to Google Analytics. Google Search Console is really useful because it basically shows you additional keyword data and search query data related to your website. So it will basically say, these are the terms people searched for on Google and found your website. These are the terms, and so you can use that to then maybe create content around those keywords, or to just be more informed about how people are finding your site and the information they're searching for to get to it. There's some other tools in Google Search Console as well, like some audit tools and things like that. So it's a free thing that you basically can kind of just connect to your analytics account. But Google Search Console combined with Google Analytics can be a pretty powerful combination for just getting data about people that are visiting your website and how they found you.
And one thing that I would add to that is that until you add that script, you can't start tracking the information. So we just started working with an account who had not activated this is a credit union in Las Vegas. They had not activated their Google Analytics information. And so we have zero data about their website traffic because they had not added the script yet to then start tracking the information. So when you do launch a website, it's not like you can just fast forward a year down the road and then say, oh, I'm going to apply this script and then look backwards. You will only be able to look forward. So if you don't do it from the onset or from today going forward, you won't be able to start collecting this information to then take action on, which could include writing a blog post, creating white papers on topics that are relevant to what you guys are doing, or even just doing, search engine optimization or search engine marketing. If you don't know what those keywords are that people are searching for your website, you're not going to have that information to then serve the best quality ad at the lowest price. So this data, you need this to really start being more strategic about how you market your business.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. It's not retroactive, so you can't add it and then get historical data. It's really from the point you add it that you're going to start getting that information, and it can be very valuable. All right, next one is page titles and descriptions. And so a lot of website platforms, even kind of the ones off the shelf like Wix or Squarespace, typically do a pretty good job of this. If you have your own website or someone built it for you, or you're doing some of the work, then a couple things to pay attention to. So page titles and descriptions are basically when you go to a page, what you see kind of in the tab up here, and also in search results, what you see, the title and the description of the search results. So let me go to an example here. So I'll use this in a few cases, but we did a search for best cat images. And so the page title is really what Google shows in this link. And then the description is what is shown below that. So page title and description is useful because that is how search engines basically see your site and that page of your site, and how they crawl it and indicate what is on that page to people that search for it. It's also useful because it provides information in the tab of your browser for people that have tabs open or want to get a sense of where they are on your own website. So page titles and descriptions are an important metric or important thing to factor. You want to make sure those are kind of just properly formatted and descriptive, and that each page has a unique URL, title, and description. So kind of an example, you might see a page of a website and the page title is just called blog, and then the description is very generic about like your whole website. The recommendation is that the page title is descriptive for the page itself. So in this case, a fictitious air conditioning company, they wrote a blog post. Instead of it just saying blog and then generic information about their company, instead the page title says how to prep your furnace for winter. And then there's a description that is specifically relevant to that. So when someone searches and this article comes up, this recommended version is what you see in search results. And that's going to lead people to click through because they've found something relevant to them. Google really wants to surface relevant information for the people that are performing searches. And so the more relevant your page titles and descriptions are, the more opportunity you'll have to show up in search results and to get more visibility, and just to provide a better experience for your users. So page titles and descriptions, again, a lot of website builders, WordPress, certain platforms, they kind of do this automatically, but it's a good thing to kind of just check as you navigate around your own website, or potentially even perform test searches in Google for something you think you should come up for, and then just see how does your website come up in those search results. What is the title and the description? Is it generic or is it custom per page? Because ultimately you want it to be custom per page. Along those same lines are page URLs. And so you want your URLs to be SEO friendly. This means that there is an aspect of descriptive text in the URL itself. And again, this shows in search results. It also helps with SEO value, and it helps with people that are navigating your site to be able to kind of get a sense of where they are on your site. And so let's say we're on a law firm website and they have a URL, example.com/law. And instead of that, you can make that URL descriptive to say example.com/Springfield commercial litigation. The fact that that URL includes some keywords and is more specific is going to aid in search result benefits and just user experience in general. And that is also what shows in search results when you look at them. So when you're looking at search results and you see kind of this above the title, you see this URL here. It's basically identifying kind of what that URL is going to be as you go through. So if you have a descriptive URL, you'll see those exact terms kind of above your really good page title and above your really good description. So again, it's just one more place that you can provide some context and relevant information for what is on the page that someone's going to click through to. Another example, instead of just example.com/bio, maybe you have example.com/rpeople/person's name. Again, just another way to provide some relevance there. And then certainly you want to avoid anything that is like just some generic number in the URL. Oftentimes you see this with like maybe category pages or certain kind of content management systems. They use like maybe just like some ID numbers or something for the page. Really, you want to avoid that because that provides no relevance to search engines or to users about where they're at on the site. The other place this comes into is like when people bookmark sites, when someone shares a link in an email, when someone posts a link on social media. You want those things to be visually and readably relevant so that someone knows, oh, this is a blog about winter furnace checkup, not about category equals 99, which means nothing to most people. So including descriptive words within reason in your URLs is just another quick win that that will help elevate your search results and provide a better experience for users.
Sarah, you raising your hand? Do you have something you want to add in?
Oh, no, I think I thought I was just reacting with a yes, that's so good.
Just like, amen.
Yes, I'm a
That's
clean
right.
bookmarker. And then when I go back to my bookmarks and I'm like, well, what the heck did I bookmark? Because doesn't make any sense, but I know it was for a reason. So I appreciate this. And that's a pro tip that I need to apply too, because I'm telling people to bookmark our site.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure. Absolutely. All right, so next one, image names and alt text. And so when you add images to a site, there's a few things you can do that benefit just your SEO value and also importantly, accessibility. So first is the name of the image is relevant. Not only does that help that image show up in search results, which then also allows people to find your site through the images on your site, but it also can be useful for accessibility, people that are visually impaired and use screen readers to be able to crawl your site or to be able to access your site. And so making your image names descriptive is first. So a lot of times you may get some image out of the camera and the default name is going to be like img-3475.jpg. Uploading that straight to your site provides no added value whatsoever. If instead you just rename that either before you upload it or add it or through whatever website manager you use to something that is a little bit more specific to what that image is, then right away you get some value there. In addition, there is what's called an alt text or alternate text, which is a special tag that you apply to an image tag, which allows you to describe what the image is. This is especially important for visually impaired who use screen readers because as their screen reader reads the site, that alt text is what describes what that image is. So the voice from the screen reader gets to the image and reads the alt text if it exists and describes that. The other thing where alt text comes into play is sometimes if your image won't load for some reason, maybe the internet's slow, maybe it's a broken image, the alt text will display in its place. So you can still get a sense of what the image would have been. And it also just provides better context and description to search engine crawlers, making sure they index your image properly. So if we're using this example on the right of my dog and my 7-year-old watching TV on the couch, a bad version of this would just be it's just called dog.gif and there's no alt text. A better version of this would, maybe your image name is dog-sitting. So the image name itself is a little more descriptive and then the alt text is dog sitting. An even better or greater version of this is the image is dog watching TV and the alt text is dog watching TV on couch. So that provides much more descriptive terms for your image, what it is and how relevant it is. The reason you want to do this is because when people search for things on the internet, so we'll use this example of the best cat image, these images that show up at the top of the results are based on the fact that oftentimes they have good image names with good alt text and are on pages that have generally good SEO value. So oftentimes when we search, we think of just the kind of the keyword search-based things here, but Google does a good job of surfacing images, videos, news, shopping, and other links above even kind of the search results. And so this is another way that you can kind of sneak in some advantage just by naming your images better. So if we actually were doing an image search instead, which a lot of people do, we happen to click on this image, maybe we actually go through to the website. This is a article on Cosmopolitan about cats. We actually look at the source of this specific image, and it's gonna be hard for you guys to see, but I'll let me load this in here. So we actually look at the source of this image. I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit. You'll see that the alt text on this image is portrait of cat sitting on a sofa at home. So very descriptive alt text. It's a portrait of a cat sitting on an image at home. Also, the image name is portrait of a cat sitting on a sofa at home. So again, it's a really small thing just by naming the image, by using alt text. They might get more visitors to this article because that image is showing up in a search result for images, not even in a text-based search result. So super useful, valuable, kind of quick win thing is just to name your images properly, and that'll give you some better visibility in search results and image results, which a lot of people do these days just because they're looking for a specific image. All right. Let's go on to the next one, local listings. So if you have a local business, then it can be a great idea to just sign up for a free business profile through Google My Business. Basically, they let you set up a profile. And when you do a local search, if you search for something with a location in the search term, like brand specific. And if they have a local listing, then that will show up in the sidebar of the search results. So here's we're using Systemax as an example over here in the presentation. They have a great local listing. They have some reviews on there. It says their hours, their phone number. They have some photos you can view. Makes it stand out even more that you've searched for the right thing, you found the right place, and they can easily click and interact with Systemax through that profile. Another good example is search for Dreammaker Springfield. So Dreammaker is a local bath and remodeling company, and they have a great local listing. And so I search for Dreammaker, I search for Springfield, and yes, they show up in the top of search results, but look at all of this kind of real estate on the right side that they also get. They basically dominate the page on the right side just because they have a good local listing. They have reviews on here, they have their hours, they have their address, other reviews on other sites. You can have a Q&A, so you can add images, you can promote events, social profiles. You can really take advantage of this local listing, which is a free thing that Google provides, just basically by filling out a form and getting a profile online. And really, when people are searching for you specifically in a location, it's front and center, and it basically dominates the page. So another kind of quick win, small thing you can do if you have a physical presence, you can utilize Google's local listing service. The other thing where this comes into play is for location-based results. So if we search for, let's just say law firm, Springfield, Illinois. If you have a local listing, then you'll notice a lot of times whenever you provide kind of location, Google will surface map-based listings. And those typically come first above regular text-based listings. So if you have a local listing and a physical presence, you have an opportunity to show up even higher on the page as part of this local listing result. You can click to view all, certainly, and then you kind of get taken to Google's map view. But the fact that you have a local listing, it's just another place where you can get exposure for your physical office or physical location. And sometimes just naturally actually rank higher than you would keyword search terms or text-based results down further. So again, getting more visibility there, that's kind of an easy way to do that by using local listings. There are some other services like Yelp, Yellow Pages, other online directories. Depending on your business or the service you're in, you may want to take advantage of those. If you have a home contractor service, for example, then like Home Advisor and some of the home remodeling service directories, some of those can be valuable to get added to, because again, it's just another place that's linking to your site and to provide you a little bit more visibility and exposure. Another kind of quick, simple one, Favicons. So you'll notice as you browse around in browsers, these little kind of icons in your tab bar. If you have a favicon on your site, then it just helps your tab stand out a little bit more. Also on mobile search results, Google has actually started showing your favicon in search results. And so if you have one, it's like just one more little visual thing that helps you stand out compared to somebody that doesn't. You'll notice in my browser window, obviously all these tabs up here that have a favicon and then a couple that don't. You just get the default globe. So super simple thing that you can add. There are some favicon generators. If you just Google favicon generator, basically it'll let you upload an image and it'll automatically generate the favicon images and the little source code you need to plug into your site so that you have a favicon on your website as well. So again, super simple. It takes a few minutes and provides just a little bit of a visual benefit to potentially people that have tabs open or are searching for you on mobile. All right, on to the next one. So social proof. So this is testimonials, reviews, and statistics. Adding these things to your site can help provide more confidence to users about your services and products. Myself, and I'm sure you, as you navigate around when you're looking to buy something or purchase something, we feel better when we either know somebody or see that somebody has posted a positive review or left a positive testimonial. There's just a psychological component to it. Whether you're renting a vacation home or buying something on Amazon, you look at the reviews, you look at the star ratings, and you make decisions psychologically based on that. So on your site, having a testimonial, having reviews, having product ratings can absolutely lead to people converting more or following up or making a purchase or contacting you or doing whatever action you want them to take. So regardless of what your site is, have someone leave a testimonial, leave some reviews, or include some statistics that basically provide social proof for what you're doing. So again, kind of something quick and easy, but you'd be surprised how much value that adds, especially if people are kind of on the edge about purchasing your service or product, or just need a kind of a gentle nudge to complete their transaction. All right, so that kind of gets through a number of the quick wins, and we're probably more than halfway through, so I'll kind of transition into, and I want to make sure we leave some time for questions at the end, so I'll transition into just talking about kind of design and user experience in general. So the design of your site and the way it looks makes a big difference. As we navigate around the internet, as customers navigate around, the way your site looks and the impression they get, you have a very small amount of time to make a first impression. And so if your site doesn't look good, doesn't work well, is slow to load, you've lost those people, especially if they're a brand new person, and especially if they found you in search results. So ideally, the overall design of your site should provide a nice visual experience for browsing content and interacting. Should make it easy for users to find what they need and to take action. A well-designed site also inspires confidence in your company or business and the products and services you offer. So sometimes people are going to your site because they just want validation. Maybe your site is basically an online business card. You don't sell anything on there, but someone's heard about you. They've heard about something that you offer, or maybe they want to buy from you. And so they go to check you out. And if the first thing they see is a poorly designed or poorly performing site, there's potential that they've lost confidence and they don't want to continue with that transaction, or they don't want to continue with whatever you're doing. So there's lots of ways to build websites. There's lots of ways to design websites. In general, whether you're doing it yourself or someone's doing it for you, try to make it look as good as you can. It does make a difference, and it inspires confidence in people that are browsing your site. So we'll go through a few examples of that. A couple statistics as we get into this. 94%, and these are some statistics from Google and Adobe and some other places, 94% of first impressions of a website are design related. That's what we see when we go to a site. So what we see and visually experience right away, that gives us an impression of the website or the potential business. So again, first impressions are important. 88% of online consumers are less likely to return to a site they had a bad experience on. So maybe they saw a security warning, maybe the page took forever to load, maybe there was a broken image, maybe they couldn't complete their checkout, maybe it just looked like a really bad site. The chance that they return back later is very low. So first experience and first impressions definitely make a difference. 75% of consumers determine the company's credibility based on its site design. So again, the better your site looks, the more confidence that inspires, and the more a consumer is likely to continue to interact with you. We'll go through a couple examples here. So these are actually sites we've, this one in particular is one we designed. This is for Ronk Electrical, which is a manufacturer of phase converters and other products. So this was their old design, very clunky and basic, didn't work well on mobile devices, lots of content on there, lots of links, everything's the same color, kind of confusing. What do I do? What do I look at? First impression is generally not great and potentially confusing, and they lose people that come to this page of their site. This is like a product detail page. So obviously through a redesign, if we go to that page on their new site, then it's much more visually pleasing. We have content that makes sense. We have links that are easier to find. We have calls to action and ways that the user can find what they need. They can request a quote or browse more products. So right away, the first experience for someone that comes to this product's page is drastically different than what it was before when they come to this page. If someone finds you in a Google search result, this is especially the case where first impressions make a big difference. If we are in Toronto, Canada, and we want some cupcakes, and we do a Google search for cupcakes in Toronto, and we click on the first results, this is the experience we get. This is the site that they've put together for Toronto cupcakes. Not a great website, super basic, confusing, doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. If I'm looking for cupcakes in Toronto, then right away I'm probably clicking the back button and going to the next result and looking for a better designed website. So here's one that's second in the results. Nice image, easier to tell what they do, have some social proof here, reader's choice, links, their address is front and center, a much different experience than the first site we saw. And that is oftentimes someone's browsing habits. They search for something, they click the first or second result. If it's not a good experience, they hit the back button and they go to the next one in the line. Especially if they just don't know anything about the brand or the company and they're just looking for something. So that first impression makes a big difference. Let's say we're looking for X-ray equipment in the Pacific Northwest, and we click on one of the results for that, and this is the site we get. Now, obviously, this is not a good first experience. This is from a site that looks like it's from 1995. And so right away, I'm hitting the back button. I'm moving on to the next site. These are obviously exaggerated examples. These are actually real websites, but they're exaggerated examples. Most of the time, sites don't look quite this bad, but you would be surprised how much the experience dictates someone's actions that they take. This is also actually a good example of the site is also not secure, which is something we talked about earlier. So this particular company needs a lot of work with their websites. They should get in touch with us and Systemax.
We need to be calling them, Casey. We need to get
that's right.
a meeting set up with them.
Yeah. So again, a couple examples there of just first impressions and also a little bit on kind of user behavior. Next, in 2020, more than 50% of internet traffic was from a mobile or tablet device. You want to make sure that your website works well on all of the different devices, not just a desktop computer. If anything, you want to potentially prioritize the way it looks on mobile devices. And so there are some easy ways you can do this. One of the things is in your browser, if you just basically, let me refresh this. If you open your site and, oh, zoomed in, that's why. If you open a browser window and, and just resize it basically. So let me pop this out real quick. I'm sizing it all off. So you open your browser window and basically take the bottom corner and resize it. You can kind of see how it adapts to different devices. So we're looking at our Clearfire site. This is kind of a large desktop. If we were to kind of just drag the bottom window, we'd see it shrink down. This is probably about tablet size, and then again down to mobile size. So you can actually just literally resize your browser window on your desktop computer to see how your site adapts, or if it adapts, or just visit it on your mobile device as well. But this is how your website should work in today's kind of internet. It should adapt and respond based on the device someone is using. If you have a website where someone has to kind of pinch and zoom still, like it's basically a desktop version and you have to kind of pinch and zoom, then you're missing an opportunity there to provide a good experience for people that are on their mobile devices, because most sites have kind of a better experience, a responsive experience for people that are on those different devices. And so again, make sure your website kind of just has a mobile version and that works and functions well. And kind of the last point is to continue to iterate and update. And so one of the things that we don't like to see with some of our clients is that they have this website, they launch a new site, and then they don't touch it for a year or two down the road, and it literally stays the same. You really want to be updating your website on a regular basis. That might be posting an article, that might be adding a new page of content, that might be swapping some images out, that might be iterating on a page of the site to continue to try to get the most value out of that page. This is especially important on e-commerce sites and transactional sites where you need somebody to take action. You need someone to purchase something or buy something or fill out a form or click a button. you want to continue to update those types of pages and even experiment with different ways that you can help people do those things easier. Continuing to update your website, it improves SEO value, increases the likelihood you'll have repeat visitors, and can improve just conversions and engagements. One of our clients, we're on like the 10th version of their pricing page. Like literally, we redesign their pricing page on a continuous basis because we can continue to increase the likelihood that someone purchases their product by the design of the page. And so we design new experiences, we develop those, and then we test them to see if they performed better than the last version. So, you know, we're on, again, like version 10 at this point, and you can see even something like a pricing page, the variation, and these things make a difference. The color of buttons, how clean it is, how big the font size is, the actual price, $3.95 versus $3.99, all of those things can move the needle a little bit, and can lead to better conversion. And so whether you have a site that you can kind of continue to like iterate on, like this example of pricing pages, or it's just a blog that you're posting content on, or you're adding new products to, just continue to iterate and make updates in general. The more you do that, the higher likelihood is that you'll get repeat visitors, you'll increase your SEO value, and your site will just be more active in general. And I think that was the last slide. So so yeah, whew, take a deep breath. Thanks for letting me get through those. I'm happy to open it up to any questions, or Brett, certainly if you have anything to add, or Sarah, feel free to jump in. Otherwise, we'll kind of just turn it over to Q&A, and I can show some other examples, or happy to kind of talk through anything that I did cover, or even something that is completely different than what we talked about through the presentation.
Great, thank you so much, Casey. Brad, did you have anything you want to share?
No, I think those are all really good tips and a lot of things that you could do very quickly, but then bigger perspective things that you need to think about when you're building your website.
Absolutely, I agree. let me just put so many notes on my little graphic note, everybody. So
I like it.
Anybody have any questions for Casey? Leanne, Kazim, Leanne?
Hi. Oh, hi. My question was, so when I did that Google, that page speed insights, said something strange like does not have sufficient real world speed data. But when I did it on the other one, my everything was like, those are like in letter grade. So it came up like A and B, although my security score was not good. It was an E, although I do have a secure site. So
yeah, sometimes the Google page speed test, it may, depending on how long your site's been online, how much traffic you get, they just may not have enough data to provide a good analysis of it. You may try it again periodically to see if that starts to provide some information. The other one, it's webpagetest.org, I think. That's another, and there are, I mean, you could Google like web page speed test and come up with some other options to let you run your URL through, or your website through, and they'll provide kind of an audit on those things. So if you're getting, good scores, you're getting an A in certain areas, then that's great. Anything that, an A and a B, like on the web page speed test, that's certainly great. If, C and below, certainly D, E, F, or E, on that particular one, then you'd want to kind of just evaluate if you need to make some changes there, or potentially what you'd need to do differently.
So if it says I have an E for security, but if I go into my website, it says it's secure and I have my certification and everything. So I don't have that HTTP, but like I said, my website is not real. A lot of people do not come to it. That's part of my thing, but I did fill everything out to make sure, because I was on WordPress, I think, Fat Cow or whatever, and I really had a huge issue with that. So now we're on Wix. I heard that you mentioned that, and that it seems to be, it's secure now, but I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember what the E stands for, so I'll have to look that up. I would say a lot of the website builders like Wix and Squarespace, they tend to provide a secure site by default. And so I think you're probably okay there. There are some other things that contribute to your security score beyond just having an SSL certificate in place. There are some kind of server configurations that can come into play. If you've embedded something on your site that maybe is insecure, by nature of that being insecure, even though your site is secure, the embedded aspect of that insecure thing makes your page insecure. So that sometimes there's things that like either may be out of your control or maybe kind of added to your site that are contributing to like a not 100% security score, but at least you have a certificate in place. And I think most of the website builders for the most part do a pretty good job of kind of keeping your site secure by default.
Thank you for your question, Leanne. That's a good question. Kazim, do you have a question?
I do. Thanks, Sarah and Casey. Excellent presentation. I learned a lot. I took a bunch of notes too. Mine isn't as pretty as Sarah's, but I tried some. So my question is, I'm trying to do some blogging also, and I wanted to leverage LinkedIn as a blogging platform. So my question is, would it make more sense to blog on my site directly or use an amplifier to connect the site to LinkedIn where I post on LinkedIn and it automatically shows up on the site?
We would always recommend that you have your own site where the source of the content lives so that you own it. You don't have control over what LinkedIn wants to do. We've seen time and time again, a new platform launches and all of a sudden, and someone spends 2 years building up content and then the platform they were on gets bought by somebody or closed down, and all of that content and time they invested and all of that SEO value and all the marketing they did is lost. So typically what we like to recommend is that you do post on your site, and that's like really the source of where, let's say it's a blog post, that's the source of where the blog post lives, but then you repurpose it and post it from other places. So post it on LinkedIn, post it on Medium, post it on Facebook, post it on anywhere else that you want to distribute that article. And you can repost the same article on LinkedIn, for example. Typically what you may want to do is post it on LinkedIn, and then maybe at the bottom of the article, you could say something like, original article found on Kazim's website, and then link over to your website. So not only are you getting it distributed on LinkedIn, there's also a link that goes back to the original source, which is your own website. But yeah, ownership is key there. You want to make sure you kind of have that intellectual property and you own the content and the domain, and that if anything happens to LinkedIn or they change their algorithm or they change their platform, that you're kind of not held hostage by that.
Thanks, it's really good.
That's a good question. Thank you, Kazim. Do you guys have any other questions for Casey? No question? Casey, is it okay if I share your oh, Kazim, you have a question?
Yeah, I had one more. So Casey, just to give some more context around this one. So I have an academic consulting business, but last year we decided to pivot to try to do also speaking engagements. So my initial site was focused more on the speaking side, and I have like a little demo video or something on it, but it's on YouTube, right? And the experience I'm realizing is not that great because you're on the site, you click the video, you jump to YouTube. I thought Vimeo was free, but I guess there's different options. So any suggestions on a good platform to embed the videos that are keep it clean? But I'm trying to save money right now.
Yeah, no, YouTube is generally a good platform to do for video. It's kind of the same thing though, is that on your site, you would want to probably embed the video directly so they can watch it from your site. Okay. And sometimes in that YouTube embed, like they could click something in the video that would maybe take them over to YouTube. But if you are able to get it to where you're using YouTube's embed code and they can actually just watch it straight from your site, then that's a good thing to do. You do kind of like with the other example on LinkedIn, you do benefit from your video being on YouTube itself. Think of YouTube like another search engine. A lot of people use YouTube, and a lot of people go there and perform a search to find what they're looking for. So if you have your video hosted there and someone goes and searches for something that is relevant to them and they come across your video, it's one more place they can find you. What I would recommend is when you're posting your video to LinkedIn, make sure you use the video description, link back to your website, give a description of what the video is about, include links to other social profiles you have and other places people can find you if you want them to find you. Because again, it's like another search result. If someone finds your video, you want them to potentially be able to engage with you in other places. In terms of getting that on your website, use YouTube's embed code and try to get that embedded to where they can watch it directly on your site. And yeah, I saw Sarah post in the chat too, when you're posting your video, and she may have some good feedback on this as well. You know, use a branded thumbnail, have the thumbnail that someone sees when they just pull it up before they play the video. Potentially have that be a little bit more designed, have a title screen or have some content in there or a relevant image instead of just like the first frame of the video.
Thanks.
Very good question. Thank you, Kazim.
Mm-hmm.
So we are coming up on time. Casey, are you comfortable with me sharing your contact information if anyone has any follow-up questions or they want to reach out?
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to share my my email and website, and yeah, definitely let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them and kind of point you guys in the right direction. And yeah, if we can be of help, then definitely let me know.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for attending tonight. And don't forget, we recorded this session and we'll post it to our YouTube channel and share it with everybody afterwards. And then I'll be sending a feedback survey. So please do, if you have a moment, let us know, what you thought about tonight's session and what other programs you're interested in seeing from Innovate Springfield. Thank you so much for attending. And thank you, Casey. I appreciate you all so much.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great night.